What if I told you that right now, in 2025, there's an entire category of investments growing faster than crypto ever did, but 90% of people have no idea it exists? Or that a technology developed back in the 1940s is suddenly generating returns that are making early investors millionaires, and it has nothing to do with artificial intelligence. Here's the thing about investment opportunities. By the time everyone knows about them, the biggest gains are already gone. Bitcoin at $60,000, you're late. Nvidia after it became a household name, you missed the real growth. But right now there are shifts happening in plain sight that most investors are completely ignoring. Not because the information is hidden, but because it's unexpected. It doesn't fit the popular narrative. While the media obsesses over the same old stories, AI, electric vehicles, the latest meme stock, there are quiet revolutions happening. Today, I'm going to share some unexpected facts about 2025 that are creating genuine investment opportunities. Not hype, not speculation. Real, fundamental shifts that smart money is already moving toward, while everyone else is distracted. Some of these will surprise you, but if you stick with me, you'll see the trends that could give you a real edge. Because the best investments aren't the ones everyone's talking about. They're the ones nobody's paying attention to. Yet, let's start with something that sounds boring but is absolutely exploding. Defense manufacturing. I know, defense stocks aren't sexy. They don't have the thrill of a tech startup. But hear me out, because what's happening right now is extraordinary. For the last 30 years, since the Cold War ended, most Western countries slashed their defense budgets. The thinking was simple. We won. There's no major threat. Let's spend money elsewhere. But 2025 is different. The world has fundamentally shifted. The war in Ukraine revealed that Western militaries had completely depleted their stockpiles of artillery shells, missiles, and anti-tank weapons. We ran out, fast. Countries realized they'd let their industrial capabilities atrophy. Tensions with China over Taiwan are at their highest in decades. Conflicts in the Middle East continue, and now everyone is scrambling to rebuild. The numbers are staggering. Germany just announced they're spending 100 billion euros to rebuild their military. Poland is modernizing its entire armed forces. Japan is remilitarizing for the first time since World War II. We're talking about trillions of dollars flowing into defense manufacturing over the next decade. And here's the key. There aren't enough companies to fulfill this demand. You can't just spin up a factory to make precision missiles overnight. The investment opportunity is huge. It's not just the big names like Lockheed Martin. It's the smaller suppliers, the manufacturers of components, the companies that make the specialized materials and electronics for modern weapon systems. There's a company called RTX that makes missile defense systems. Its stock has quietly doubled while everyone was focused on tech. This defense boom is just getting started. Most of the announced spending increases haven't even flowed through the system yet. Ignoring this sector because it's not glamorous would be a massive mistake. Alright, now let's talk about something even less sexy. Agriculture. I can almost hear you clicking away, but stay with me, because what's happening in agtech is genuinely revolutionary. The global population is still growing. Climate change is making farming harder. Water is becoming scarce. And geopolitical tensions are disrupting food supply chains. The result? Food security has become a national security issue. Technology is the only viable solution. We're seeing incredible breakthroughs. Precision agriculture uses satellites, drones, sensors, and AI to optimize every single aspect of farming. We're talking about systems that can monitor individual plants and apply fertilizer and water with surgical precision. Vertical farming, growing crops indoors in stacked layers, has finally become profitable for things like leafy greens and herbs near major cities. We're also seeing advances in gene editing that can make crops more nutritious and resistant to drought and pests, without inserting foreign genes. The global food market is worth about $8 trillion. That's larger than the entire energy sector. If technology captures even a small fraction of that, we're talking about companies worth hundreds of billions. For example, John Deere now generates more revenue from precision agriculture software and subscriptions than many pure tech companies. Their smart farming systems are becoming essential. Then you have companies like AppHarvest, building high-tech greenhouses that grow tomatoes with 90% less water. Most investors still think of agriculture as a low-tech, low-growth industry. They're dead wrong. Agtech is where tech was 20 years ago. It's being transformed by AI sensors and biotech. And because it's not flashy, the valuations are still reasonable. You're not paying 50 times revenue for these companies. So while everyone else is chasing the same overhyped trends, the real opportunities might just be growing in a field or a lab that no one is even looking at. Okay, let's talk about something that sounds incredibly boring but is actually creating one of the biggest wealth transfers in history: infrastructure spending. Think about it. Most of America's roads, bridges, water systems, and electrical grids were built back in the 50s and 60s. They're old, they're falling apart, and they just can't handle the demands of today. The American Society of Civil Engineers actually gives us infrastructure a grade of C-. They estimate there's a $2.6 trillion investment gap just to get everything back to a decent condition. And this isn't just an American issue. Europe, Asia, developing nations, everyone is facing the need for massive infrastructure upgrades. So, what's happening? Governments are stepping up. The US passed a massive $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Europe has its own similar plans. China is still pouring money into huge projects, and India is literally building new cities and transportation networks from the ground up. This isn't just a quick stimulus package that will be gone in a year. This is a sustained, decade-plus trend of massive spending. Now, where is all this money actually going? Of course, construction companies are an obvious answer, but the real hidden gems are the suppliers and the specialists. Think about companies that create advanced materials like high-performance concrete, corrosion-resistant steel, and modern composites. These are the materials that will make new infrastructure last longer and perform better. Then you have companies making specialized equipment, things like giant tunnel boring machines, advanced cranes, and super precise surveying tools. And here's the twist. Tech companies are a huge part of this. Modern infrastructure is smart. It's embedded with sensors, connected to networks, and managed by AI systems. This opens up incredible opportunities for tech companies that most people would never associate with construction. A perfect example is Elon Musk's boring company. They're not just digging tunnels. They're completely rethinking underground transport, using technology to slash costs and boost speed. Whether or not that specific company succeeds, the idea it represents applying new thinking to old problems is where the real opportunity lies. The best part, this spending is just now starting to ramp up. These huge projects take years to plan and get permits for. So, the money that was allocated back in 2021 and 2022 is finally hitting the ground and flowing into actual construction projects right now, in 2025. This means companies in this space are seeing their revenues accelerate as we speak. But because infrastructure has this boring reputation, most investors are completely missing it. Next, let's switch gears to something else that's making a shocking comeback. Nuclear power. For decades, nuclear was basically a dead topic in the West. After incidents like 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima, public opinion soured on it completely. But right now, that sentiment is changing, and it's changing fast. Why? Because we have an insatiable need for massive amounts of clean, reliable 24/7 power. Wind and solar are fantastic, but they're intermittent. They only work when the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. You can't run a modern grid on them alone without enormous, expensive battery storage systems that we just don't have yet. This is where nuclear comes in, and we're not talking about your grandfather's nuclear power. The new generation of reactors is a world away from the plants built in the 70s. We have things called small modular reactors, or SMRs. These are factory-built, much safer, and designed in a way that a meltdown like in older reactors is physically impossible. They're also way more economical. There are even more advanced designs on the horizon, like molten salt and thorium reactors, which are even safer and produce far less waste. So, who's building them? Countries all over the world are embracing nuclear again. France never gave it up. China is building more reactors than the rest of the world combined. Poland, the Czech Republic, and others in Europe are all planning new plants. Even in the US, it's the big tech companies that are driving this forward. Google, Amazon, and Microsoft are all investing in small nuclear reactors to power their massive data centers. Why? Because AI requires an incredible amount of electricity, far more than renewables can reliably provide. The investment opportunities here are huge. Companies building these new reactors are attracting billions. NuScale Power, which makes SMRs, has gone public and is winning contracts all over the world. But it's not just the reactor makers. It's the uranium miners, because you need fuel. It's the companies that manufacture specialized components and the engineering firms that design the facilities. There's even a growing market for nuclear waste management, dealing with the legacy waste from past decades. Here's why this is so important right now. Because nuclear has been a dead sector for so long, there has been chronic underinvestment. There are very few companies in this space, and now, all of a sudden, demand is surging. This is a classic supply-demand imbalance that can drive prices and company valuations sky high. Most investors still think nuclear is a thing of the past. They're fighting the last war. The reality is that nuclear is experiencing a true renaissance, and the opportunities for those paying attention are significant. Let's talk about a mega trend that's completely flipping the script on global manufacturing: reshoring. For the last 40 years, the game was simple: make things in the cheapest place, usually China, and ship them everywhere. That worked when the world was stable and shipping was cheap. But the game has changed. The pandemic shattered supply chains. Geopolitical tensions are making companies nervous about putting all their eggs in one basket. Shipping costs have skyrocketed, and now governments are throwing money at companies to bring manufacturing back home. Just look at the numbers. The US CHIPS Act is pouring over $50 billion into rebuilding the semiconductor industry on American soil. The European Union is doing the same. And it's not just chips, it's batteries, pharmaceuticals, and critical minerals. That's why you see giants like TSMC building massive new factories in Arizona. Samsung expanding in Texas, and Intel building all over the US. But it goes beyond tech. Drug companies are bringing critical ingredient production back. Defense contractors are securing their supply chains. Even everyday consumer brands are moving away from relying solely on China. So, where's the investment opportunity? First, think about construction and industrial real estate. All these new factories need to be built. Land near major transport hubs is becoming incredibly valuable. Second, automation. To compete with lower wages, these new factories have to be highly automated. This means explosive growth for companies in robotics, industrial automation, and AI-driven manufacturing. Third, domestic manufacturers themselves. The companies that were struggling against cheap imports suddenly have a huge advantage. They're closer to their customers, they don't have tariff risks, and they're getting government support. And don't forget nearshoring, especially to Mexico. It's so big that Mexico just overtook China as America's largest trading partner. Companies are moving production there to be closer to the US market, creating a boom for Mexican industrial firms and the logistics companies that move goods across the border. The key thing to remember is this is just the beginning. Building a factory takes years. We are in the very early innings of this massive shift, and the companies poised to benefit will see incredible growth for the next decade. Now for our next megatrend, one that seems obvious but has ripple effects most people are missing, the weight loss drug revolution. We're talking about GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. These are not your average diet pills. They are complete game changers. People are losing 20, 30, even 40% of their body weight. This is historic. For the first time ever, we have truly effective medical treatments for obesity. Let's look at the market size. Over 40% of American adults are obese. Globally, that number is climbing fast. The potential market isn't in the millions of people. It's in the hundreds of millions. Some analysts think the weight loss drug market could hit $100 billion a year within a decade. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than the entire market for cancer drugs. But here's where it gets really interesting. The second and third order effects. What happens when millions of people lose a significant amount of weight? Healthcare costs will plummet. Diseases linked to obesity like diabetes, heart disease, and joint problems will decline. This impacts insurance companies and medical device makers. Food consumption patterns will totally change. If people eat less, food companies, grocery stores, and restaurants all have to adapt. The clothing industry gets a shake-up as plus-size demand falls and standard sizes rise. Even airlines could benefit from lower average passenger weights, saving on fuel. The obvious investment play is the drug makers themselves, like Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly, but their stocks already reflect this hype. The smarter, less obvious plays are elsewhere. Think about the companies that might struggle, like those making diabetes management tools or bariatric surgery equipment. On the flip side, fitness and wellness companies could see a boom as newly motivated people want to maintain their weight loss with exercise and healthier lifestyles. Of course, there are risks. We don't know the long-term effects of these drugs, and regulations could change. But the trend is undeniable. Effective obesity treatment is here, and it's going to reshape entire industries in ways most investors haven't even begun to imagine. Alright, let's wrap this up with something totally different. A massive opportunity that almost nobody is talking about. Skilled trades. Here's a fact that shocks people. There is a severe shortage of electricians, plumbers, welders, and HVAC technicians. Why? For decades, we've told every kid they need to go to college. Vocational education got a bad rap, so fewer young people entered the trades. Meanwhile, the experienced tradespeople are all starting to retire. The average age of an electrician is getting close to retirement, and there just aren't enough young workers to take their place. Remember that infrastructure supercycle we talked about earlier? Well, you need skilled tradespeople to actually build all of it. You need electricians to wire new buildings and upgrade the electrical grid. You need welders to build bridges and pipelines. You need HVAC techs to install systems in all the new construction. What about the reshoring trend? Those new manufacturing facilities need skilled tradespeople to build and maintain them. The nuclear renaissance. Nuclear plants require highly specialized skilled labor. Every single major trend we've discussed today creates more demand for skilled trades. So what's happening with the economics? Wages for skilled trades are rising fast because demand is way higher than supply. A good electrician or plumber can easily make 6 figures. Welders with special certifications can make even more. Many skilled tradespeople earn more than college graduates, and they do it without mountains of student loan debt. They often start earning good money in their late teens or early 20s while their friends are still in school. So, how do you invest in this? Trade schools and vocational training companies are seeing their enrollment boom. Companies that provide skilled labor like electrical contractors, plumbing companies, and specialty construction firms are incredibly profitable right now. There are also companies developing technology to help skilled labor, like new tools, software, and equipment that make tradespeople more productive. Some investors are even buying skilled trades businesses directly. A profitable plumbing or electrical company in a growing market can generate excellent returns. This is the ultimate unexpected opportunity because it goes against the old idea that everyone needs a college degree and that physical work is somehow lower status. The reality is that skilled trades are profitable, they're essential, they are in short supply, and they are perfectly positioned to benefit from multiple huge economic trends. So, let's bring this all together. We've covered 7 unexpected facts about 2025 that create real investment opportunities. The defense manufacturing boom, the agricultural technology revolution, the infrastructure supercycle, the nuclear renaissance, the reshoring megatrend, the weight loss drug revolution, and the skilled trades opportunity hiding in plain sight. What do these all have in common? They're real, fundamental shifts that most investors are ignoring because they aren't flashy, they're not hyped on social media, and they don't fit the popular narrative. While everyone's chasing the latest AI stock or crypto token, these quieter trends are creating sustainable, long-term opportunities with actual fundamentals behind them. Here's what I want you to take away. The best investment edge doesn't come from being the first to jump on a trend. It comes from seeing what's happening beneath the surface before everyone else does. Defense stocks aren't sexy, but they're growing. Ag tech sounds boring, but it's revolutionary. Infrastructure is unglamorous, but it's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Nuclear was considered dead, but it's coming back. Reshoring seems like old news, but it's just getting started. The ripple effects of weight loss drugs are anything but obvious, and skilled trades might seem like a step backward, but they're actually the future. These are the opportunities that create real wealth, not because they promise to make you rich overnight, but because they're built on genuine, sustainable trends that will unfold over years and decades. So here's my challenge to you. Stop chasing whatever's trending online. Start looking at the world around you and ask, what's changing that nobody's talking about? What industries are being quietly transformed? What obvious problems need solutions? That's where the real investment edge lives. Not in the hyped-up, overcrowded trades, but in the unexpected opportunities most people are missing. What do you think? Did any of these surprise you? Are there other unexpected trends you're seeing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this video gave you a different perspective, hit that subscribe button. We're all about cutting through the hype to find the real opportunities. The investment edge you're missing isn't hidden. It's just unexpected. And now you know where to look. See you in the next one.